January 12, 1970. A beautiful summer day at Fairy Meadow Beach in Wollongong, Australia. Families filled the sand. Children laughed as they played near the water. Lifeguards watched over the crowded shoreline. It seemed like an ordinary day. But within minutes, a little girl would vanish without a trace. Her name was Cheryl Grimmer. She was only 3 years old. More than 5 decades later, nobody knows exactly what happened to her. No body was ever found. No crime scene was ever discovered. No one has ever been convicted. Yet over the years, investigators uncovered disturbing clues, mysterious confessions, and a suspect who may have known far more than he should have. This is the story of one of Australia's greatest unsolved mysteries. That afternoon, Cheryl was enjoying the beach with her parents and siblings. At some point, several of the children went to the beach changing rooms. The older children finished changing and returned, but Cheryl never came back. At first, nobody panicked. A 3-year-old could easily wander a short distance. Her family began looking around the area. Then minutes turned into an hour, and Cheryl was nowhere to be found. Soon the beach was placed on alert. Lifeguards joined the search. Police officers arrived. Volunteers searched the dunes, nearby streets, public bathrooms, and surrounding areas. The ocean was searched. The beach was searched. The town was searched. Nothing. It was as if Cheryl had simply disappeared into thin air. And that was when investigators began to fear something much darker. What if someone had taken her? As news of Cheryl's disappearance spread across Australia, investigators received countless tips. Most led nowhere. Then something strange happened. A ransom note appeared. The author claimed Cheryl was alive. The message demanded money. For a brief moment, investigators believed they might finally have a lead. Police organized a controlled operation and waited for someone to collect the ransom. Nobody came. The entire lead collapsed. Was it a cruel prank? Or had the kidnapper become frightened? Nobody knew. Meanwhile, witnesses reported seeing suspicious individuals around the changing rooms. Some claimed they saw a man watching children. Others reported unfamiliar vehicles near the beach. But none of these sightings could be verified. The deeper investigators looked, the more confusing the mystery became. Weeks became months. Months became years. Years became decades. Yet Cheryl Grimmer remained missing. The case slowly transformed into one of Australia's most infamous cold cases. Investigators continued reviewing witness statements. New detectives reopened files. Fresh leads emerged, then disappeared. Several people of interest were examined over the years, but there was never enough evidence to charge anyone. Meanwhile, Cheryl's family continued living with the same unanswered question. What happened during those few minutes when nobody was watching? The lack of answers became almost as painful as the disappearance itself. Then, decades later, investigators discovered something that would shock everyone. A confession. The most controversial chapter of the case began many years after Cheryl vanished. Investigators revisited statements made by a teenager shortly after the disappearance. Back in 1971, the teenager had allegedly confessed to abducting and killing Cheryl. At the time, police dismissed the confession. They believed parts of the story were unreliable. The case remained unsolved. But decades later, investigators looked at the confession again. This time, they noticed something troubling. The individual appeared to know details that had never been publicly released. Details involving Cheryl's clothing. Details involving her final movements. Details that seemed difficult to explain. As investigators dug deeper, the former teenager became the primary suspect. In 2017, he was arrested and charged in connection with Cheryl's disappearance. For the first time in nearly 50 years, it seemed the mystery might finally be solved. But the story was far from over. The arrest sent shockwaves across Australia. Many believed police had finally found the person responsible. Prosecutors argued that the suspect possessed knowledge only someone involved could have known. The defense disagreed. They argued that the confession was unreliable. Questions emerged about the suspect's mental state at the time. Questions emerged about how the confession had been obtained. Then came another dramatic twist. The court ruled that key portions of the confession could not be used as evidence. Without that confession, the case against the suspect weakened significantly. Eventually, the charges were dropped. No conviction followed. No final answer emerged. To this day, many investigators and observers remain divided. Was the suspect responsible? Or was he simply another dead end in a case full of unanswered questions? While investigators debated theories and evidence, Cheryl's family faced a different reality. They spent decades waiting for answers. There was no funeral, no grave to visit, no certainty about what happened, only questions. For families of missing children, uncertainty can be one of the cruelest forms of suffering. Every phone call brings hope. Every new lead brings hope. And every dead end brings heartbreak. For more than 50 years, Cheryl's family carried that burden. More than 50 years have passed since Cheryl Grimmer disappeared from Fairy Meadow Beach. Thousands of hours have been spent investigating the case. Hundreds of leads have been examined. A suspect confessed. A suspect was arrested. A suspect was charged. Yet nobody was convicted, and Cheryl was never found. Some investigators believe they came dangerously close to solving the mystery. Others believe the truth may have been lost forever, somewhere in the decades of conflicting statements, missing evidence, and unanswered questions. But what do you think? Was Cheryl the victim of a stranger who seized a brief opportunity on a crowded beach? Was the man who confessed actually responsible for her disappearance, knowing details that seemed impossible for an innocent person to know? Or was his confession simply another tragic dead end in a case already filled with uncertainty? Could someone have witnessed something important that day and never came forward? Could a crucial piece of evidence have been overlooked during those frantic early hours of the search? If someone truly knows what happened to Cheryl Grimmer, how have they managed to keep that secret for more than half a century? Somewhere between the crowded changing rooms, the endless beach, and the passing decades, the truth vanished along with a 3-year-old little Gier. Until those questions are finally answered, the disappearance of Cheryl Grimmer will continue to haunt Australia and remain one of the most chilling unsolved missing child cases in history.